What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Mobile Hunter channel. I'm Chris Leppert, and today we're going to talk about finding your deer now so you don't spend the entire season chasing your tail. But before we get into that, big shout out to Tactacam. They are graciously handing out 50 trail cameras for free at both of our shows, Wilmington, Ohio, July 31st through August 2nd, and Dalton, Georgia, August 14th through the 16th. They just came out with the new 4.0 here, and just a few kind of quick stats on this. One, you've got the R5 and R10 batteries. They're pretty impressive. So essentially they're 5,000 or 10,000 milliamp hour batteries. The R10 here is supposedly going to replace 2,000 AA batteries. That is ridiculous if that's even close to true. So I'm really excited to put these to the test. I've got a few deer picked out on public land already, and we are going to put these to the ultimate test and see how long they last. We'll do one with one of their battery belts and then one just with the R10 hooked up and just see how long each one lasts. But I did want to go over the fact that this has dual lenses, so it's supposed to be really good for both night and daytime photos. And a quick tip so that nobody else is left in the dark: when you get the new 4.0 and you're sitting there wondering, what in the HE double hockey sticks did this engineer do to keep me from getting this battery off? Well, it's actually quite simple. You just got to follow the directions a little bit, which I suck at. But if you open the side door, you can literally just take the battery right off. If you don't open the side door, you're going to feel like a moron for a really, really long time until you figure that out. So I just wanted to kind of go over that. And the other thing is your SD, wrong one, your SD is now going to go right here. And be sure to always use a 32 gig SD card. So you also have to have the door open, as you can see, to get that back on. So we'll just close that up, and now we're good to go. It's actually pretty slick. You got your viewfinder, whatever, the LCD screen right here on the side. But without any further ado, let's talk about what we can do to find a deer this time of year. Especially a month ago, 2 months ago, I found one in May. I've found another in July. He's absolutely huge, and I'm really excited to put some more trail cameras out for him. But essentially what we're looking for first and foremost is to zoom out on a map and look for diversity in terrain, diversity in vegetation, oak trees, all kinds of different trees. Because keep in mind, these animals, they can't go to McDonald's. They have to survive all year long. And since they are, I want to say they're ruminants, I'm not sure what the correct terminology is, but they have a 4-chamber stomach, and they have to bed down and belch up, regurgitate their food and chew it, chewing their cud. We've all heard of that before. But what most don't quite understand is, as whitetail hunters, for years we watched the Outdoor Channel and, whatever, and we watched these dudes sit over milo and bean fields and corn fields, and, corn isn't healthy for deer. Beans are great for deer, but deer can't just eat soybeans. They'll probably die if they did. They have to balance out their gut. So that's why having a good, diverse ecosystem that provides all different kinds of oaks, locust trees, all different kinds of native browse, pokeweed, ragweed, all those things that everybody wants to spray, mow, pull, and get out of here, that's the stuff that we need for our deer to have a healthy diet. And the majority of those natives, blackberry briar, all the different stuff that you think wouldn't be even close to good, it actually provides them with about 80% of their moisture during the summer months. And then on top of that, you're looking at better crude protein, calcium, you name it, than a really, really good mineral site. So that's oftentimes why you jump some of these big deer up, excuse me, in the bird hunting areas, the places where you'd kick up woodcock and grouse and those clear cuts, and you start kicking up pheasant and quail and all the different game bird species, that a lot of people like to chase with dogs. You find bucks bedded in there, especially if it's, belly to head high cover. They feel safe, secure, they get their water, they don't have to travel hardly at all to eat and get a lot of their nutrients. And so that really helps balance out their gut. So from there, you got to learn to read topos a little bit, figure out some of the terrain. And, sometimes it can be fairly obvious that a saddle or a certain pinch, for example, sticks out on a map. So you're looking for more subtle areas that would be overlooked. And I actually found one of those, and we're going to kind of talk about it a little bit. I went to a very difficult spot to access, and I had about roughly, we'll say, 75 to 100 yards of public before we get to the private line. And so I walk up the hill, and lo and behold, a little bench runs right past this private land fence row. And as I walked up, I could see the fence row. Obviously respected the private land borders, always do that. You don't need to get in trouble and you don't want to piss anybody off. But I saw everything that I could have ever dreamed of expecting. Ladder stands, tree stands, feeders, everything out in the field, just as I would think. And so I backtracked a little bit and went to the corner, and I thought, there's probably a scrape somewhere back here, but you never know. So let's just go. And I found a faint deer trail, and it didn't take long before I found an absolutely gorgeous scrape. You can kind of see the trail just goes and goes. And we've got a neat little find up here. Look at that. We've got bare ground. It can't be recessed really because it's on the uphill side of the trail right here. But here's what I like. Right here, and of course they're bare, so it's being hit a great amount. We're going to stick a Tactacam on this bad baby. I gotta find a solid tree that'll both hide my camera from the deer and the people. I'm literally, I don't know, maybe 50 yards, 45, 50 yards, 55 yards from the corner of the private land field. I've got a gorgeous red oak right in front of me. This is, depending on what we pick up here, this could be pretty special because the access here is tight. Got our Reveal Ultra set up and ready to go. And I took and ran the battery cord behind the tree. Something just fell. And I've got the battery bank down here, just trying to keep everything as not so noticeable as I can. We've got this camera pointed at this scrape with all those licking branches. Field's just up here. You probably got 70 or 80 yards until you get to dude's tree stands and everything. So this is exciting as hell for me. That's what you live to find, especially in the summer. We're going to mark this on our mapping app on our phone, write some notes down, and then we're going to slip out of here undetected, hopefully. We are very close to the private land edge. Looks like the landowner or whoever's hunting it sits on the edge, which is fine. I'm not even looking to sit right here. I want to see what time homeboy's showing up, and then we're going to go back here and cut him off like 150 yards or so and cut his ass down before he ever even thinks about getting close to this field. So on May 25th, we hang our camera in the middle of the day. We've got compounding features that I'm sure a lot of you have heard about before on other podcasts, YouTube channels, etc. You've got a pinch, you've got a bench leading right past some private land. The private land has fields with weeds, and I don't know if they're plots or gardens or just ag or whatever, but there's all this diverse habitat. You've got places for the deer to bed. You've got places for them to feed. You have water. You have everything you need. And you have the private land pressure basically creating a boundary where those deer will socially interact by making this scrape, right? Because this is not a testosterone inspired scrape. This is a scrape that deer will communicate using that. So they use the licking branch. And so we hang our camera on May 25th, and on June 7th, we have a gorgeous buck hit the licking branch in all his majesty. And he's been back multiple times since and has absolutely turned into a stunner. Now, full disclosure, I'm not familiar with this deer. This is a new spot, so I won't be targeting him. We kind of think, according to a couple of buddies, they said that he's likely 3 or at some point had been sick. So we're going to give him another year and hopefully get to watch him. But I just wanted to do a video on this to kind of go into what I'm doing to find some of these deer. Scrapes are such a phenomenal way for a public land guy or private to be able to essentially inventory what bucks you're going to have. Now, the thing that I have to say, I love trail cameras. I'm super grateful for Tactacam sponsoring our shows. But trail cameras are not the end-all be-all, and you should not rely on every single thing that they tell you. In other words, more importantly, what they don't tell you. If a deer is on the backside of a camera, you and the camera have no idea that the deer's there. So once myself and a few of my buddies get a picture, one picture of a deer, we're going and we're looking and we're scouting. We're not waiting for that deer to come into daylight in a certain area or whatever. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to try to target that animal, and we're going to pretend as if he's there all the time. Because again, if a camera fails, if a deer is out of range or, behind the camera or whatever, you have no idea that the deer's there. So if he's there, once or twice, he's probably in there a lot. And that really even goes for some of your nighttime photos, unless you're on a major food source in which, more often than not, if you're at a destination food source, that buck's going to come there in the dark. But that's not to say that all nighttime photos are, created equal. I never got a daylight photo of him. I found this deer in the middle of May, and I never got a single daylight trail cam photo or video of that deer. I always got him on scrapes, and then I killed him November 4th. So I hope this information helps somebody. Again, got to check out the 4.0s. Absolutely phenomenal camera. I love the new design. I love the fact that they've addressed getting a bigger battery. There's a lot of people, in our community, if you will, with mobile hunting that hunt public land, and they'll set a trail camera in another state or somewhere deep on public, and they're not going back for a really long time. And so to have to either sit there and not have a camera that's working at all because the batteries died, or to have to go back and use the gas money and time investment, which is the most important, to, just replace batteries, it's so much. So I think this is going to be a phenomenal addition to a lot of people's arsenal, and especially when you connect it to these bad boys. So I appreciate y'all tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one.